For this example, the fractions do not have common denominators. So we're going to think back to our maybe 4th or 5th grade days when we had to find least common denominators, which you might remember is the least common multiple of the denominators. For this set of problems, there's not going to be anything other than just a single monomial in each denominator. Later on, you might see like an x plus 2 in the denominator or an x minus 5, and then the game is pretty different. But for right now, I can really rely heavily on those elementary school topics that I haven't thought about probably since elementary school. You want to treat, one thing I will say, you want to treat the coefficients and the variables as separate items. So when I'm finding an LCD, I kind of look at the 6, the 2, and the 1, and I try to think of a number that 6, 2, and 1 will all go into, and the smallest thing that they all go into is 6. This number is divisible by 6, and by 2, and by 1. As far as these variable goes, this guy has 1x, this guy has 1x, so they each have exactly 1x, so I can get away with having just 1x in my LCD. I do want to add something really quickly though. Let's say this 2, instead of just being a 2, had been a 2 over x squared, for example. Then when I'm going through this process of trying to find my LCD, I'd want to make sure that my LCD could accommodate this x squared. Meaning if I were to divide it by x squared, all the x's on the bottom would cancel. So that would mean that if this had had an x squared, my LCD wouldn't be 6x, but it would be 6x squared. So if you have multiple variables and they have different powers, you want to make sure your LCD always can contain all of those different x's by giving it the highest power that shows up on any one of them. But you know, this problem, they didn't do that to us. They just gave us x's here. They just gave us x's here. This was just a 2, which I wrote as 2 over 1. So I don't need to do all that. I can just go ahead and say, yes, this I could divide by 6 and by x. I can divide this by 2 and by x. And of course, I can divide it by 1. So that'll be my LCD. And now my next step is to look at each one of these fractions, and if they're missing something that doesn't make them 6x, I'm going to multiply by whatever's missing, both the top and the bottom. And so this first fraction is not missing anything. I don't need to modify it at all. But this second one, I have a 2x on the bottom, and I really want that to be a 6x. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 3. But if I make the bottom 3 times bigger, I need to make the top 3 times bigger as well, so I don't change the value of anything. And this will involve some distributive property in a bit. And then for this other fraction, it's got a 1 on the bottom. I need it to have a 6x, so its bottom gets a 6x, and its top, to keep it balanced, also gets a 6x. Now that we're at this point, we can kind of stop thinking about the denominator completely. Like, the denominator is going to be 6x, for sure. It's just a matter now of taking each of these separate expressions we've created and simplifying them. So if it's distributive property or straight multiplication, that's what's going to happen. But this first thing, which is 4x minus 7y, this second part is positive 6x minus a 21y, and that last part is another 12x. Now, of course, other skills take over. I do need to go ahead and combine like terms. So the 4x combined with the 6x with the 12 makes a 22x. And this negative 7y and negative 21y make a negative 28y. That's all over 6x. And now the final piece is to look at your entire fraction, and if there's something that you can divide out of every single part of it, then you do that. But if you can't divide it from everybody, then don't divide it from anybody. So I'm looking at a 22, a 28, and a 6. I'm treating the coefficients as separate things. I notice those are all even numbers, so I can divide each part by 2. So 22x becomes 11x, 28 becomes 14y, all over 3x. And that's it. I'm finished. Some people do make the mistake of wanting to cancel off these x's, but I can't cancel off an x from this and this and this. And if I can't do it from everybody, I shouldn't do it from anybody. So this is my final answer. It's all about finding that LCD, which is really just a matter of focusing on these things and making sure you put something down that will divide that thing evenly. Good luck with this. Be patient with yourself. As you see a few examples, you'll get the hang of it, and it'll click, and it'll be awesome. And someday you'll be a NASA scientist, maybe. You know, who knows? Good luck.